Hey dear friends, I want to do an interesting exercise because I get so many questions about how can I learn to improvise. I play the scales, they don't sound like jazz. I play the licks, doesn't sound good. I just copy and paste them and it seems to be really hard. It does not seem to be. It's really hard to get a start, right? So I'm going to record a 2-5-1 in C major and then I'm going to start on any possible note, right? Because we only have 12 notes, and then I'm going to talk about what I'm doing there. So let's record the 2-5-1 first. So now I'm starting on the D, right? So I'm starting on the D, on the D minor, and then on the E flat, and then on the E, and just let's look what happens. I'm going to play a little bit till I find something that I like. Yeah, so this is of course easy. I'm starting on the D, so I'm playing the D minor 7 arpeggio, and then I got into something altered. I don't even remember what I played, and then I resolved it on the C major. Let's start on the E flat. So I realize I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm going to just record lines starting on any note, and then I'm going to talk about it later. Starting on the E. Starting on the this is hard. I'm doing something different. So yes, basically what's happening there is that sometimes I'm just already playing stuff over the D minor 7 chord that actually belongs on the G7 chord. So I just want to talk quickly about what I think would be helpful to learn to improvise. My approach is two things. You have to work on your tools and you have to play more intuitively, sort of by ear, give you the chance to just play and not think so much. So by that I mean it's very good practice to learn all the scales and arpeggios on the entire fretboard. So in case you don't hear anything and you're not inspired, you can fall back on the visual patterns, and there's nothing wrong with it. So that means if you have a C major chord, you know very well where your C major scale is everywhere, right? Not just like a tiny part of your fretboard, because that will be so confining, right? And then you can just say, okay, here comes the C major chord in the tune. I'm playing in those patterns. Here comes the half diminished chord, whatever it is, you know your stuff. And that's a lot of work, but that will help you a lot and make you feel safe, because that will lead you away from just sort of winging it. And by that I mean you land on a note that sounds right, great, and then maybe 3 more notes, still good place, but then it leaves you, and then you don't know anymore where you are, and on to the next chord. So you're fumbling along all the time. So basically, try to record a chord and play the right scale over it, and just like be sure that it clicks, because I hear so many players, they play not where they are, they even don't know where they are, and we need to hear on which note we are on a chord. I wouldn't necessarily say that you need to hear that's a 3 or something like that, but that you hear how, even in a more intuitive way, how it relates to your chord. And then on the other hand, you have to work on your language, because I know, right, if you know all the chords and scales and stuff and licks, it won't the material alone, the tools by itself alone won't make it sound like jazz, but they will give you the orientation to experiment. And then the jazz sound comes from the phrasing, right? So one exercise that's really good is to try to, first of all, get away from all your ornaments. So you just play very, cool 8 notes. And for a moment you don't play any pull-offs, hammer-on, slides. The sound is clean. And you just try on a nice jam track or with a partner, just have to have consecutive flowing 8 notes that are very cool, that are very legato, and that's where you start. And they can be very hard in the beginning to improvise continuous 8 notes, but if you work on that, it forces your ear to hear how that note that you just have been playing can relate to the next. So you're building a chain of notes that makes sense. And you can also stop and look when you're practicing where you want it to go. And like this, you also work on your hand-ear connection. So that's what I recommend. And of course, listening to a lot of the music, getting immersed in the culture, going to concerts, it's not always super logical how you can get from one level to the next, right? But I think if you're honest and you don't know, for example, your major scale in all keys on the fretboard, that's definitely where I would start, because it's so important. So I hope this makes sense. I see you around. Bye.